We learned today that a top intelligence community official told Congress last week that Russia is already taking steps to interfere in the 2020 election. The briefing indicated that Russia has a preference for President Trump, someone they believe they can work with. What's your reaction?
Not surprised at all. I was deeply involved in the intelligence community when I was when I was vice president. We knew it then. They've been involved. They continue to be involved. I guarantee you they're involved. And the fact is that I expect whoever did that briefing is about to be fired.
Do you have confidence in the person that the president wants to be the new DNI, who's currently the ambassador to Germany?
No, he has absolutely zero experience in intelligence. He's going to be the ambassador to Germany. No, I'm not about personally. He may be a fine guy, but he has zero experience, and they expect him to be both the acting head of all the intelligence, not just CIA, all the intelligence agencies, the director of national intelligence, and the ambassador to Germany at the same time, and with no experience.
If you were president right now, what would you do to try to protect election security?
Well, what I would do is what I did internationally. I joined an international organization headed by the former head of NATO to work out an agreement that everyone running for office, both in Europe and the United States, would take the pledge that they would not use any disinformation, period, in an election, and two, any foreign power that provided information or tried to get engaged in an electoral process in any one of the countries, it would be reported immediately. And that's what I would do. And I'm the only one who's taken that pledge so far. Now, in fairness, I'm not sure the rest of my Democratic colleagues are much as aware of it. I've raised it several times. But that's a pledge we all should take. You know, Washington talked about, the greatest concern for new republics is being interfered with by foreign powers. And it's going on. I promise you, I guarantee you right this minute it's happening. Right this minute.
As president, would you confront Vladimir Putin about that?
Yes, I would confront Vladimir Putin, and I would engage in making sure there was consequences for his actions, including seeing to it that there were economic consequences of it. We also have to worry about cybersecurity, which is going on. So, but it's going to sound so political, my saying this, but this president has just zero sense of any of this. And no, I'm not. I know that sounds bizarre. I don't mean it to be. But and by the way, he doesn't care. He doesn't care.
I am sick and tired of bringing a knife to a gunfight. It's high time that we get down and dirty with the Republicans. It's one thing to rise above and not sink to their level, but I'm done with being nice. Do you have that fire in your belly, and what are your plans on how to defeat Trump?
Tell the truth to start, okay? No, I'm not being facetious. Look, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to get down the gutter with Trump. That's where he's most comfortable. I'm not being a wise guy now. I'm being deadly earnest. Remember when that tape came out about, Access Hollywood and he can grab women and all that stuff? And everybody said, God, that'd kill any politician. They're done. They're over. Well, what happened? We responded in kind. We said, well, all of a sudden, this is what we're going to do. Instead of talking about what he's done, and then it gets back to this back and forth, and it's about what he hasn't done for America. He has devastated this country. He has put us in a terrible situation. He has diminished the middle class significantly. He has made it more difficult for everybody who is struggling every single day just to make it, the people I grew up with, be able to do anything about it. It's just amazing. So, but by the way, if he stands behind me like he did Hillary, I'm going to say, Jack, come here. Come on up here. No, I'm not going to take it easy. I'm going to talk about all the things that he has done that are so devastating. And one of the most devastating things I think has happened is he has absolutely blemished the soul of this country. The way in which he talks, the way in which he deals with people, the way he treats people. He's diminished. I mean, we're a nation that talks about we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women are created equal, or we the people. Think about what he's done. Think about what he's done, how he treats people, how he talks about people. And I'll ask you a rhetorical question. How many of you have, when he comes on the air, on television, literally taken your children or grandchildren and said, take them away from the television? No, have you ever thought that would be the case? Anyway, I shouldn't.
Let me ask you, I want to ask you about something you talked about earlier today. You delivered very emotional remarks today about gun violence. We're obviously in Las Vegas, the site of the deadliest mass shooting in American history. You attacked Bernie Sanders' voting record on gun legislation. You acknowledged that Sanders has changed his views, but has he done enough?
Well, look, it's not so much what you say you believe now. It's what did you do, and when did you do it? And the fact is, Bernie has had a very different record than me for a long time. For example, I'm the guy that, as chairman of the Judiciary Committee, worked to pass very difficult legislation, the Brady Bill, that had background checks as well as waiting periods. Well, Bernie, when he was running for the Senate in Vermont, he said it was a tough state to run in. He voted against it 5 times in the House of Representatives. Guess what? We've kept over 5 million people from being able to get weapons that they should not have been able to get. How many lives does that save? Secondly, the one thing that I am most upset about is I've met with, as you know, Anderson, I've met with every family, virtually every family up in Connecticut when those kids were just slaughtered in school. And then also down in Florida when they came up to Washington. I was out of office at the time, but I met with them. They were petitioning members of the Congress to change the law with regard to assault weapons and the like. And I made a commitment, and I mean it. I made a commitment that I'm going to do everything in my power, in office or out of office, to get those assault weapons off the street, which I've done once already, and to get those clips that have multiple bullets in them not for sale, not be able to sell silencers, all those things. But here's what happened. The only industry, how about if I stood before you all today, and any of you who are undecided thinking about voting for whomever, me in this case, how about if I said, by the way, you can roll your eyes, it's okay. I'm not suggesting you have to vote for me, but what I'm saying is, how about if I said to you, you know what? Drug companies should be immune from being able to be sued. They put out 9 billion opioid pills in a matter of years, but they shouldn't be able to be sued. They misled advertising on television saying that you, in fact, they don't point out you can get hooked in 5 days on everything from that they advertise. And I said, but we can't sue them. How about if I said about the tobacco companies? I said, we shouldn't be able to sue the tobacco companies for misleading about how it caused cancer and the like. Or the oil companies that are out there polluting the ground. But guess what? The only industry in America that is not able to be sued are the gun manufacturers. Now, Bernie talks about my record. It's appropriate. It's not. I'm not being mean. He voted to exempt gun manufacturers from any liability. 0. They can't be sued. And I tell you what, I'm not joking. I've sat there and looked in the eyes of those parents as recently today, talking about their kids and how they died. And they died at the hands of, why can't we sue these manufacturers for advertising, for misleading, for glorifying, for promoting this god-awful terror? You know how many people have died since 2007 of murder with guns? 3 times as many people have died in the Vietnam War and every war since. 3 times as many. 150,000 murders. 150,000 murders. Those lives have crushed families. I was on the phone on the 2nd anniversary of Fred Guttenberg down in Florida. He's the guy who lost his daughter. So just call him because I know what it's like to lose a daughter, lose a son. And guess what? You know, he's devoting his whole life to try to make sure. And all they want, let me sue these guys who have done this stuff, this carnage on the street. Look at the people here in the greatest mass shooting in American history, the worst mass shooting in Mandalay Bay. A guy has 12 assault weapons with bump stocks, which means you can fire it faster. pull the trigger faster. And 100 rounds. Why in God's name should anyone be able to own that? It's just wrong. And we've got, and I promise you, as president, I am going to get these guys. I want to let them know. Promise you. I'm the only guy that's beaten the gun manufacturer. I'm the only guy that's beaten the NRA nationally, and I did it twice nationally. And gun manufacturers, I'm coming for you. Period.